Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to explore astral projection and out-of-body experiences.
Sounds pretty wild, right?
Definitely. We've got some awesome excerpts from a chat with this guy, Falcon, who's been exploring these realms for decades. And get this, he connects these experiences to everyday life.
Oh, this is interesting. He's not afraid to use altered states of consciousness.
He really jumps right in. He's got some vivid stories about his experiences. Like he talks about encountering entities while he was under the influence of mushrooms.
Right, and it's important for our listeners to understand when we talk about entities in the context of astral projection and out-of-body experiences, we're often talking about non-physical beings or energies, things that exist beyond our normal perception, you know?
Yeah.
Some folks think these entities are just projections of our own subconscious,
Oh, okay.
while others believe they're like independent beings with their own consciousness.
So Falcon's exploring these different states of consciousness, and he starts noticing some interesting things happening. He shares a story about a time when he was starting to embrace his new name, Falcon, even though he hadn't told anyone yet.
Right.
And he was on mushrooms with a friend and his son. And a woman in the group suddenly asks him, "Can I describe what I'm seeing?"
Whoa, that's wild.
And Falcon's like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah.
And she replies, "There's this big falcon sitting on your right shoulder." That's when Falcon reveals to them about his name change.
Wow, what are the chances?
Right. It makes you wonder if there's something more to this than just like a random comment.
Exactly. Falcon kind of sees this as a sign that maybe she perceived a thought form. It's essentially a manifestation of energy, connected to his identity as Falcon.
Okay.
He even mentioned this book, The Boy Who Can See True. It's about a boy with strong clairvoyant abilities. He could see these thought forms around people.
So the idea is that our thoughts, our intentions, might actually have like this tangible, energetic presence that can be perceived by others.
Yeah, especially those who are sensitive to those energies.
Interesting. And this expanded awareness, it goes beyond just seeing things differently, right? He also notices that animals react to him differently when he's in that altered state.
Absolutely. And this is something a lot of people who engage in spiritual practices, explore altered states, they've noticed this too. Have you ever noticed your pets acting differently when you're meditating or doing energy work?
Yeah, maybe.
Some people believe animals are way more attuned to those subtle energies. They can sense shifts in our energy field. Falcon actually shares this story about walking down a path after a mushroom trip, and he encounters a man walking his dogs. These dogs were usually calm, but they reacted so strongly to Falcon. They were barking, pulling at their leashes.
Wow. So they're picking up on something beyond his physical form.
That's the idea. It leads us to this whole concept of the etheric body. It's this subtle energy body that surrounds and interpenetrates the physical body. And it's this etheric body that is believed to be involved in out-of-body experiences and astral projection. Falcon even describes his cats, like etheric version, as being ready to go when he has an out-of-body experience.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's not just about seeing things differently. It's like, are we more than just our physical bodies?
Exactly.
There's like layers of energy and consciousness that we're only beginning to understand.
Absolutely. And Falcon takes this idea even further by talking about the etheric envelope. It's like our homes, everything around us, also have these layers of existence. He's had false awakenings where he's in this slightly different version of his house, almost like a parallel reality.
Oh, I've had those. It's so disorienting.
It is, right.
You think you're awake doing your normal routine and then suddenly something's off.
Exactly. He has this one story. He wakes up in his bedroom and he's writing in his journal.
Okay.
Later, he realizes it's not his journal at all.
Wait, what?
It's like he stumbled into a parallel reality version of himself. The journal entries, they were in his handwriting, but the content, he's like, I've never thought these thoughts. I've never had these experiences.
Whoa, so not his journal. Like, what do you mean?
It's like a parallel reality version.
That's both intriguing and unsettling.
It is, right.
It challenges, like, what's real and what's not.
Exactly. It makes you think about, like, the nature of self. Are there multiple versions of us existing in different dimensions?
So it's not just about astral traveling to, like, far-off realms. It's about exploring these hidden dimensions within our own homes.
Precisely. And sometimes that exploration can lead to these unsettling encounters.
Yeah.
He talks about sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis is definitely unsettling.
Oh no, that feeling of being trapped, you can't move, and then sensing a presence in the room.
It's terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. So Falcon, he describes encountering a shadow figure during one of these episodes. Yeah. But instead of freaking out, he actually reframes this terrifying experience as a growth test.
Oh, a growth?
Yeah. He's like, it's a chance to confront our fears head on.
So rather than running away from the fear, he leans into it.
Yeah, he does. And he has this powerful tool he uses. He issues the command, show me the truth of this situation.
Wow. So it's like saying, okay, fear, I see you, but what are you really about?
Exactly. And using that command, he often discovers that the shadow figure is actually an aspect of himself.
Oh, really?
It might be his own astral body, his etheric double.
Hmm. So what we perceive as an external threat, it might be a projection of our own subconscious.
That's the idea. And this idea of confronting our fears in the astral realm, it can help us overcome challenges in our physical reality, too.
I see.
He tells this story about hitchhiking with a sign that said, the astral planes.
Wait, hitchhiking with a sign that says the astral planes?
Yeah.
I bet he got some looks.
Oh, he definitely attracted some characters. He had this one encounter, this woman with really strong opinions that were very different from Falcon's, and he started feeling triggered, judgmental. But then he realized he was letting his past wounds dictate his reaction.
Yeah, that's something we can all relate to, right? Bringing those old hurts into new situations.
Totally. So instead of getting into this debate, he takes a different approach. He starts practicing Ho'oponopono.
Can you explain Ho'oponopono for those who might not know what that is?
Sure. It's this Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. It involves taking responsibility for your own energy and clearing negativity. You just repeat these phrases like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
Okay, so he's not trying to change her mind. He's shifting his own internal state.
Yeah, and as he's practicing Ho'oponopono, he feels the tension in the car dissipate. The energy starts to shift. And instead of this heated discussion, they find common ground. They even share a few laughs.
Wow, so he's really emphasizing the interconnectedness of our inner and outer worlds.
Absolutely.
Like our internal state can impact our interactions with others and the world around us.
Totally. And this interconnectedness, it extends beyond our immediate surroundings. Like Falcon shares these incredible insights into how our homes can become these powerful tools for enhancing our out-of-body experiences.
Oh, this is what I've been waiting for, the Astral Dojo. Tell us more.
Okay, so in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore this fascinating world of the Astral Dojo. Stay tuned.
This podcast is sponsored by Soul Guides Premium, the world's #1 astral projection program teaching you how to have out-of-body experiences on demand. Our program combines step-by-step videos, innovative sound technology, and personalized live coaching to help you progress quickly and avoid the frustration that often leads to giving up entirely. Our students have managed to do some amazing things like healing their bodies from chronic illnesses, accessing hidden knowledge about their life purpose, connecting with spirit guides or departed loved ones, and much, much more. The possibilities are endless. Check out Soul Guides Premium. The link is below in the description. See you there.
So before we went to that break, we were talking about his experiences with the etheric envelope and false awakenings.
Yeah.
And even encountering shadow figures during sleep paralysis.
It's really interesting how he kind of takes all these experiences and emphasizes the importance of confronting our fears head on, using that curiosity as like a tool for growth and understanding.
And he even shared a story about how he used the Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono to navigate a really challenging interaction with someone who had very different beliefs.
Right.
And by shifting his own internal state, he was able to transform that whole dynamic.
It's really powerful, right? How our inner work can impact, everything around us.
Totally. And speaking of inner work, Falcon was actually a natural astral projector as a kid.
Oh, wow.
But as an adult, it took him a whole year of dedicated practice to have an out-of-body experience again.
So it's almost like he needed to go through like certain life experiences and integrate those lessons before he could fully access those realms again.
It's really interesting. Like maybe our spiritual growth isn't always linear.
Yeah.
There might be times when we need to focus on like navigating the complexities of our physical reality before we can fully expand into those more subtle dimensions.
I like that.
It makes you wonder if those like challenging experiences in his life, like the bullying he endured during puberty, if those were actually opportunities for him to develop certain strengths.
Yeah, resilience.
Exactly. That would support his astral explorations.
It's possible.
And it really highlights the importance of patience and persistence in our spiritual practice.
Sure.
We might not have those instant results,
Right.
but if we stay committed to that journey, those breakthroughs will come.
Yeah, and sometimes they come when you least expect them.
Right.
Falcon actually shares this story about how he finally achieved an OBE as an adult after 2 weeks of suffering from this like severe poison ivy rash.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was bad. And he was like desperate for relief, and so he was determined to like get out of his itchy body.
Wow.
And so he lays down on the sofa, puts on some headphones, he's listening to this extended version of a Robert Monroe track, and he starts working with the techniques he'd been practicing.
Yeah.
And this time, something clicked.
What do you think were the key factors that contributed to his success in that moment?
He mentioned a couple of things. He said it was really important to like bring emotion into his practice. Like he wasn't just visualizing the experience. He was feeling it. He was feeling the sensation of movement, the wind rushing past him, even the butterflies in his stomach.
Wow. So he's embodying the experience before it's actually happening.
Exactly. Like tricking his consciousness into believing it's already happening.
That's fascinating.
And he also talks about this balance of effort and surrender. Like he would actively engage in a direct technique.
Okay.
But then he'd let go and allow his awareness to just drift into this more passive state.
So it's finding that sweet spot between like doing and allowing,
Yeah.
effort and surrender.
It reminds me of the concept of Wu Wei in Taoism, you know? Effortless action. It's not about forcing things, but aligning yourself with that natural flow of energy and allowing things to just unfold organically.
So it sounds like astral projection is this practice that requires like a very delicate balance
It is.
of intention and focus and surrender.
Totally. And it's a practice that can be enhanced by creating a space, like a dedicated space for that exploration.
Oh, this is what I want to hear about.
Which brings us to the Astral Dojo.
The Astral Dojo. I'm so curious about that.
I know, right? It sounds pretty cool.
Wow.
So during our conversation, Falcon actually, he showed us the space in his house that he uses for his astral projection practice.
Oh, take us there. I want to see it.
Okay, so he starts by showing us the space in his house where guests often report having strange dreams or sensations. It's almost as if the space itself is kind of imbued with a particular energy.
Wow. So certain locations might have like a greater energetic potential for accessing those altered states.
Yeah, that's the idea. So then he takes us into his dedicated astral projection space.
Okay.
It's a guest bedroom, and there's this beaded curtain at the entrance.
Okay, I'm picturing this.
The curtain has this dream catcher painted on it, and each bead has been infused with essential oils and plant medicines, you know, to align with his intentions for the space.
So it's like an energetic threshold, like you're stepping through the curtain and you're entering this space dedicated to exploring other realms.
Exactly. And inside the room, there's a bed, and there are wolf's teeth on it.
Wolf's teeth.
Yeah, and the wolf for Falcon represents like a connection to ancestral guides and the power of intuition.
Interesting.
He also has these various crystals, rocks, artwork strategically placed throughout the room, each one chosen for its specific energetic properties.
So he's intentionally like curating this environment to support his astral exploration. It's like setting the stage for a performance.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder for all of us, right? That we can be intentional about creating environments that support our spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be a whole room, you know?
Right.
It could just be a corner of our home.
Yeah, dedicated to meditating or connecting with our inner world.
Absolutely.
It's about creating that container
Yes.
for those expanded states.
Yeah. A place where you feel safe to explore the depths of your being.
This idea of an astral dojo is fascinating, but it also brings up a question for me. If Falcon had to work so hard to regain his ability to astral project as an adult, does that mean everyone has the potential to develop these abilities? Or is it something that's only accessible to certain people?
That's a really good question. And it's something that's been debated for centuries, right?
Yeah.
Some folks believe that astral projection is a natural ability. It's like we all have it.
Okay.
But most of us have just forgotten how to access it. Others believe that it's a skill that can be developed through practice, dedication, just like any other skill.
So like it's like learning an instrument or learning a language.
Exactly. It takes time, it takes effort, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
And I guess just like with any skill, some people might have a natural aptitude for it.
Yeah.
while others might need to work harder to kind of achieve that same level of proficiency.
Right. But the important thing is that it's possible. We can all expand our awareness and explore these realms if we set our minds to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a journey that is best embarked upon with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Yes.
And I think it's really helpful to have a supportive community to connect with along the way.
It makes such a difference, right?
Speaking of community, Falcon mentioned the importance of having that safe and supportive space to share experiences and connect with like-minded people.
Yeah. He even said that he felt a sense of belonging in this online community that we're a part of, which I think is a testament to the welcoming and supportive environment that we've cultivated here.
Yeah, it's true. It's a space where people can come together without fear of judgment and just support each other's growth and exploration.
Yeah, and that's so important because exploring these realms can be exhilarating, but it can also be challenging. And it's really helpful to have a tribe of like-minded individuals to connect with, to learn from, and to just share those aha moments with.
Absolutely. And, Falcon also talked about the importance of viewing challenges as opportunities for growth. He even reframed the idea of fear tests, suggesting that we view them instead of growth tests.
I love that. It's such a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of shrinking back from our fears, we can lean into them knowing they hold valuable lessons that can help us evolve.
And he offered some really practical advice for navigating those growth tests.
What was it?
He recommended using the command, "Show me the truth of this situation,"
Right.
as a way to take back your power and demand clarity. It's like saying, okay, I'm not going to let fear control me. I'm going to face it head on and see what's really there.
Yeah, it's a really powerful reminder that we have a choice, in how we respond to fear. We can either let it paralyze us or we can use it as fuel for growth. And often what we discover is that our fears are based on illusions or distortions. And by shining the light of awareness on them, we can kind of dismantle their power.
Right. It's like that scene in the movie Dune where Paul Atreides faces the Gom Jabbar test.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows that if he gives in to fear, he'll die. But by staying present and focused, he's able to transcend that pain and prove his resilience.
Yeah. It's such a good metaphor for how we can approach, challenges in our own lives. We may not be facing a, poison-tipped needle.
Right.
But we all encounter situations that trigger our fears.
Yeah.
And in those moments, we have that choice. We can succumb to fear, or we can choose courage, clarity, and a willingness to confront the darkness within ourselves.
That's where the real growth occurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in those moments of facing our shadows and choosing to step into the light.
So we've got cheat codes, growth tests, the importance of community. What else did we learn from this deep dive into Falcon's world?
He also mentioned this really interesting concept I think it's worth exploring further. It's the idea that our physical reality is a reflection of our inner state.
Oh, like the as above, so below principle.
Exactly.
It's a concept that you find in so many spiritual traditions. It suggests there's this deep interconnectedness between the microcosm and the macrocosm, like the inner and the outer.
Exactly. And Falcon suggests that this principle applies not just to our individual lives, but to the world at large.
So if we want to see positive change in the world, we need to start by cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we're not separate from the world around us.
Right.
Our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, they all have this ripple effect that extends way beyond ourselves.
It makes me think about that concept of morphic resonance, the idea that we're all connected through this field of information and that our individual actions can influence that collective consciousness.
That's a fascinating theory. It suggests that change is possible, but it requires a critical mass of individuals to shift their consciousness and align with a new way of being.
Totally. So it's not just about astral traveling to other dimensions.
Yeah.
It's about bringing those lessons back to Earth and using them to create a more harmonious and enlightened world.
It's about bridging that gap between the spiritual and the material, the inner and the outer, recognizing that they're ultimately two sides of the same coin.
I love that.
And maybe, by exploring these other realms, confronting our fears, we can unlock a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in this interconnected web of existence.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive with Falcon.
We have.
We've explored the importance of inner work, the power of creating a dedicated space for our practice, and that transformative potential of viewing those challenges as opportunities for growth.
And as we move into the final part of our conversation, we'll delve into one of Falcon's most intriguing experiences, an encounter that left him questioning the nature of reality itself.
So we're wrapping up our exploration of astral projection and everyday enlightenment with Falcon.
Yeah.
We've covered some really fascinating stuff, from his experiences in altered states of consciousness to the creation of his astral dojo.
Definitely a lot to unpack. It's so clear that Falcon believes these experiences aren't just about these otherworldly adventures. It's about personal growth and self-discovery.
He's all about bringing those lessons back down to earth, integrating them into, everyday life.
Exactly.
He even shared that story about how he used Ho'oponopono to navigate a challenging encounter with someone who held very different beliefs.
Can you remind us about that encounter? How did he use the technique?
So he was hitchhiking, right, with a sign that read the astral planes. And he ends up in a car with a woman whose views really clashed with his.
Right.
And instead of getting into this debate, he just starts silently practicing Ho'oponopono, shifting his own internal state.
Yeah, that's such a good example of how we can use these spiritual practices to navigate those tricky situations in the real world.
Totally.
It's like choosing to be the peace instead of adding to the chaos.
I like that.
It brings us to one of the most intriguing aspects of Falcon's experiences. This encounter, it really makes you question the nature of reality.
You're talking about that mysterious journal entry, right? The one he found in, what seemed like an alternate version of his bedroom.
That's the one. He describes waking up in a room almost identical to his own, but there were these subtle differences.
Okay.
He starts writing in his journal, but then he realizes the entries aren't his.
Whoa, it's like he stepped into a parallel reality.
Right. The handwriting was his, but the thoughts, the experiences described, totally foreign to him.
It's unsettling, for sure.
It is. It really makes you wonder, are there multiple versions of ourselves existing in these different timelines or dimensions?
So what did Falcon make of this whole experience?
He kind of seemed to embrace the mystery of it all. He acknowledged that it challenged his understanding of reality, but he also saw it as evidence of the vastness, and the interconnectedness of consciousness.
It's a good reminder, right?
Yeah.
There's so much we don't know about the nature of reality.
Yeah.
And the potential of human consciousness.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Falcon's story so compelling. He approaches everything with a sense of curiosity, a sense of wonder, even when things get a little strange or unsettling.
He's got that curiosity. It's like his cheat code for navigating not just the astral realm, but life itself.
Totally.
He's constantly asking questions.
Yeah.
Seeking out new perspectives, pushing the boundaries of what he believes is possible.
Absolutely.
And through that process, he's uncovering these really valuable insights, things that can help us all live more fulfilling and meaningful lives.
Yeah. It's not just about having those extraordinary experiences. It's about what we learn from them and how we integrate those lessons into our everyday lives.
So if you had to sum up, what's the biggest takeaway from this whole deep dive with Falcon?
I think it's that reminder that we all have the potential to access these expanded states of awareness, and that the journey is as much about self-discovery as it is about exploring those other realms.
Right. And he talked about, the importance of community and connection in that process.
Absolutely. We don't have to walk this path alone, right? There are others out there on a similar journey, and we can learn and grow together.
So for those listening who are intrigued by Falcon's experiences, what advice would you give them?
I would say cultivate that curiosity, nurture your inner world, find a supportive community to connect with.
Yeah.
And remember, you don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes the most profound discoveries come from embracing that mystery and allowing yourself to be surprised by what you find.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into the world of astral projection and everyday enlightenment, I'm left with this sense of wonder and possibility.
Me too.
It's a reminder that reality is far more fluid and expansive than we often imagine, and that we all have the potential to tap into something greater than ourselves.
Absolutely.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. We'll catch you on the next adventure.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe and like button, and make sure to check out Soul Guides Premium. The link is below in the description. See you there.